Minneapolis protests, tech CEOs at the White House, and AI fears. A recap of Uncanny Valley. This week's Uncanny Valley podcast covered escalating tensions in Minneapolis following federal immigration enforcement actions, the controversial attendance of major tech CEOs at a private White House screening, and growing anxieties within Google DeepMind regarding federal surveillance. Hosts Brian Barrett and Zoe Skiffer, with guest Tim Marchman, analyzed how misinformation fueled violence, the corporate response to political pressure, and the blurring lines between private and public security. Minneapolis under pressure. The podcast opened with the volatile situation in Minneapolis, where increased ICE activity led to protests and fatal shootings of civilians. The death of Alex Preddy, a nurse shot during demonstrations, quickly became a target for disinformation campaigns by far-right influencers who falsely claimed he was an assassin. This illustrates how rapidly narratives can be weaponized, with some voices even suggesting the incident was staged, a claim echoed by President Trump. This dynamic highlights a dangerous trend: the immediate weaponization of tragedy, where truth is secondary to political spin. The situation in Minneapolis demonstrates that even events with clear evidence are subject to instant distortion and manipulation. Tech CEOs at the White House. The podcast also discussed the attendance of Apple's Tim Cook, Amazon's Andy Jassy, and AMD's Lisa Su at a private screening of a Melania Trump documentary at the White House. This move sparked internal backlash from tech workers, who questioned why their leaders would appear to endorse an administration with a history of hostile immigration policies. The broader context is critical. This is not an isolated incident. Tech companies have long faced pressure to balance political engagement with employee activism. The fact that these CEOs attended the screening, while protests were ongoing, underscores the ongoing tension between corporate interests and ethical considerations. AI fears at Google DeepMind. The conversation then shifted to Google DeepMind, where staff members expressed concerns about federal agents visiting their offices and demanded assurances of their physical safety. This follows reports that ICE is using Palantir's AI tools to sort through tips, raising fears of government overreach into the tech industry. Why this matters? This reveals a growing distrust between tech workers and government agencies. The fear of surveillance and potential misuse of AI tools is real, particularly as companies like Google DeepMind develop increasingly powerful technologies that could be exploited for law enforcement or immigration enforcement purposes. The takeaway: the podcast painted a bleak picture of fractured truth, corporate complicity, and rising fear in the tech world. Whether it's the rapid spread of disinformation in Minneapolis, the questionable optics of tech CEOs at the White House, or the escalating concerns over AI surveillance, the themes of this week's Uncanny Valley underscore a dangerous moment where reality itself is under attack.